Hey guys, welcome back to another Architecture Real Talk. And today's topic is quite simple. We're going to be looking at how we have to cater to our clients' whims, while at the same time we have to stay true to our architectural practice, our architectural theory, everything that we've learned in architectural school. And sometimes there is a communication gap. Sometimes the client has a pre-designed idea of their own. And how do you reconcile that, especially when you have new information and you have new understanding of architecture or material? So let's go dive right in. So one of the examples that I have is this. A client came to me and he had been scouring the downtown Houston. He has done plenty of townhouses in the past, and he's bringing those to the table. And he already has an idea or preconceived notion of what architecture should look like, how many townhouses he can fit on the property. Everything is already decided on his end. Now, when he comes to you, he says, hey, you're a new architect, I want to give you the opportunity. Again, on his end, he's looking at potential cost saving, potential is a new guy in the market. We have no idea what he's going to be capable of. So they're trying to seek out architects that, for lack of a better term, they haven't screwed over. So we're trying to build a new relationship. And as an architect, this is a new opportunity. This is a client that has never worked with you. So you're trying to make your way through. What ends up happening is this. The dialogue starts like this. The client will come to you super excited, will present to you the project, give you the site plan, and they will already give you a vision of this modern townhouse or this modern office that goes underneath the townhouse. They'll move you through a procession that they are catering to, or something they have done in the past. They'll boast what they have already built, right? They'll talk about energy efficiency to a certain degree. They'll talk about the facade or the materiality, but overall, it is primarily about aesthetics, what they find to be beautiful. Now, as an architect, you look at the exact same project and you start looking into having your own design ideas. You have a design concept. You look at the context and you say, hey, this townhouses won't fit with the same language that you're bringing in. You want to bring in a neoclassical style and you want to give it a modern twist, but everyone around you is doing an extremely contemporary Mediterranean style. Let's just say that's one of the things that you're trying to argue for. Or you start positioning the office disappears altogether. You make the garage face a different way. And one way or another, you have researched a material. Let's say that's concrete or a new interior finish, and you want to bring it into the project. And you're convincing the client to cater to these higher sustainable options. If he was looking at Energy Star, you're coming to him with low E glass, and you're trying to push this, hey, I'm going to do something unique in the market. I'm going to try to make a statement in the market. And when you do that, there's a clash between you and the client. The client is like, hey, this is no longer my project. Is this your project? Are you paying for this project? One of the things that they like to point out is, hey, this is a red flag because this is going to cost way more upfront than you anticipated, or this is going to cost more to realize. And how do you reconcile those differences? The telltale book answer is, hey, let's find a middle ground. Let's see where we can meet or we can part ways, or how we can actually bring both of our ideas together. But in all essence, as an architect that has a portfolio that is rooted, I believe that you need to present yourself in a manner that states, hey, this is what we bring to the table. This is what we are trying to envision. This is our past project. This is my portfolio. This is what I have vested my life in researching when it came to studio, what I did in architectural studio, what are the projects that I worked on while I was working in multiple offices. And now when I'm bringing this as my precedent, and my business partner is bringing this precedent, my project manager that I've hired, share the same vision architecturally or in design aesthetic as this, and you bring this to the table, we're capable of doing this, but far better. That conversation changes to you being the expert. It's kind of like when a patient arrives at a doctor and he says, I think I have gout. I think I have diabetes. I think I'm having a heart attack. And when you present yourself, hey, because of these specific credentials, me going through med school, me going through internship, fellowships, all of these various different residency routes, and because of this, I'm an expert in this field, and I can assure you this is not what you want to do. So I want to approach in this way. A lot of times the clients feel like we're an antagonist. Anytime they come up with an idea, you shoot it down. That's not the point. The point is to inform them of more valuable decisions. It's your job as an architect to educate your clients sometimes. Sometimes you want to bring a material to them as if it's a new material. They've never seen it before. Ask the questions. Have you seen this? Have this ever been used in a building that you've actually walked through? Have you seen anything like it? Oh, that's probably brass, that's iron, that's steel. But this is something unique. So, and then explain that to them. Because a lot of times I feel like there's a dialogue that's between the client and the architect that gets broken. And a lot of that is usually due to budget or financial constraints. But these dialogues need to happen. Sometimes you need to have the client see that an investment in this project, especially in a material or something that is sustainable, will far outweigh them in the future when it comes to today. Start putting up practical numbers. Look at their electricity bills in their previous buildings, in their townhouses. How is the water being run in those facilities? Compare how the water will be distributed in the new facility. Start talking to them about systems in a plane that they understand, which is primarily financial. Another thing you could focus on is preventative costs. So we've already talked about educating your client. That's the one thing. Again, there is no such thing as a middle ground. There's only two ways to look at your clients. One is either you're going to be dishing them a perfect solution that they want, that they're primarily there to make sure that the building is decided, it's already set in stone, and you're just doing the part as an architect to just seal those drawings, get those drawings through your office so you can get your bread and butter. That's one form of a project. And the other way is to educate them and bring them to your design standards. I would talk about cost-effective sustainability. Sometimes this client might not be the one that you go lead platinum on. You don't have to push it to that very extreme every single time. Again, you're testing the boundaries of where this client goes. Again, one thing you want to do is build a repertoire of this client returning back to your office whenever he has a need for investment or building or any type of future growth. So one of the things you can do is tell him, hey, remember the glass that we did on the last one, which was fitted glass, which was an energy rated glass. We can go a step further and go low E this time. Hey, we can go to a glass that's transparent and now is a solar panel. So all of these steps are going to make the client go, okay, they were able to deliver here. They were able to deliver here. Build a reputation with your client. Slowly move them into a higher criteria of design as you educate and build a relationship with them. You have to find a balance. Not every client is going to be a perfect client. We have to now, as architects, differentiate what type of a client that I'm going to have versus what kind of a client that I want. And even if you're able to execute the small differences that allowed your voice to be in that project, you were able to make an impact in the community. We were able to make an impact in your architecture. So again, see every client as an opportunity. Unless they're those clients that are just bare bones, bare minimum, that's one thing. They will never touch your portfolio. But always have a reputation with the client that will actually prolong your portfolio. And lastly, I hate to say this, but you have to stick to your guts, stick to your core values, stick to the things that you adhere to in design from the very get-go. You cannot compromise on certain things. Obviously, you have to have your ends meet be met. With that said, that doesn't negate the fact that you're gonna go and drop a building which one day you're gonna be disgusted by. You're gonna walk by and you're gonna be like, I can't believe I did this, right? It still has to come together as an aesthetic composition. Think about opportunistic architecture, as Big talks about. Now you take the opportunity of the small budget that you've been allotted. Sometimes I had a client that came in that wanted a specific project to have this bells and whistles, and it was 2,800 square feet of a house. We minimized that to 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, thought about flex spaces, thought about ways we can actually shrink the overall square footage first. Then we can execute the nicer detail, the nicer windows, because the footprint or the overall surface area of the exterior is now less. So it allows us to take that same budget that was going to give us a bigger house to a smaller house that is more elegant, that is more pleasing, that is more worked out in terms of space and volume. So you have more use out of it. There was no unnecessary spaces in that house. So those are certain things that you can move towards making energy efficient decisions, making space efficient decisions, which will allow you to have a beautiful architecture as your repertoire. And lastly, I want my audience to tell me, what do you guys think? Is it a dialogue that can be happened with your clients, or is something that is actually a barrier that you have been struggling with? How do you reconcile with clients when it comes to as an architect, or how you reconcile in your studio whenever you're reconciling with your professor? How do you communicate your design ideas across, and how do you deal with those barriers where people are unwilling to see your design aesthetics?
Follow for more content.